Hello, good evening, and welcome back to Monday night, which means it's the IRL F1 League. We're here, it's round 12 of the league, which means it's the final round of not only the season, but of the competitive season on F1 2019. It's the final time for these guys to show off what they can do on the game, and I'm joined, as always, by Sab. How are you doing, Sab?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Yeah, it's the final race of the season, and wow, what a race we're in for tonight. Monaco, most people's nightmares of a track. This track provides many a challenge. You do not want to make a mistake around here. You will either lose a wheel or lose a front wing at the worst. And these guys tonight will be hoping that they put on a bit of a show for us tonight. All the titles and championships are nicely wrapped up now, aren't they? After last week, Gamer was announced as your IRL F1 champion, and also wrapping up the Constructors' Championship for Renault as well. So tonight, they can let their hair down a bit, can't they, the drivers in this league tonight, and hopefully put on a bit of a show for us.
Yeah, absolutely, and not saying that it's going to be an exhibition tonight, because of course you don't expect that at all, but as you say, the pressure is off. Both championships have been sewn up with CRG Gamer 62, who's actually unable to join us this evening. He took the Drivers' Championship, and along with Jumper Line, took home the championships for Renault. So yeah, it's going to be a stellar race. A lot of talent on the show. Of course, you can see at the top there, you've got Harry BR25, the man that was going to finish runner-up in the championship. And he's not going to like me for saying it so early into the stream, but potentially he could go down with probably one of the most unwanted records in Formula 1. If he picks up 5 or more points tonight, he will have picked up more points than any other runner-up in the history of Invictus Racing League, currently held by Mike XSI. From F3 a few seasons back of 113. So yeah, if Harry scores 5 or more points, he unfortunately takes home that record of finishing runner-up, the most amount of points. But in a standard season, that would probably almost secure you a championship. But unfortunately for him, Sab, CRG Gamer 147 he's going to finish on this season, which is remarkable tally.
It really is, and it just shows you the next step that Harry just needed to go to, didn't he? Like you say, he could have won a championship with those points. Unfortunately for himself, CRG Gamer was just that much better, wasn't he? But Harry can't be too disheartened, I'd say, by it. He's had a superb season by his standards. His qualifying is dramatically improved. His overall race pace, I'd say, he's been thereabouts. He's had a few off races which eventually really cost him and not able to bring the title fight to the final race of the season. But overall, I think Harry has had a great season. One he can look back on and say he was right up there with Gamer. He was the only one that challenged Gamer right to the end. Nobody else got close to him, so he could be proud of that. Unfortunately, I'd say the one big moment for him was in Spain, wasn't it, where it really did cost him. He had an opportunity to really close in on Gamer, because Gamer struggled that day as well. Unfortunately, got away from Harry, and then from there on, it was always a game of catch-up, wasn't it, for him, and he just wasn't quite able to get it done.
Yeah, it was indeed. And I mean, whilst we've got some time before the session starts, we'll quickly look back at some of the highs and lows for Sab and I over the season. Of course, we've had the privilege of sitting in the box and overseeing the entirety of this season, all 11 races up to now, and of course one final one here, the streets of Monte Carlo. But Sab, have you got any particular things you remember about this season? Any particular positives, but equally any particular lows, any negatives that you've seen from this one?
Well, I have to say one high for me is I thought Singapore Grand Prix, the race itself, the whole evening, it was absolutely superb. We had mixed conditions, drivers being tested over the full wets and down into intermediates, onto dry and then wets, and it was a mixture of everything. Hercules showing his absolute best that night. Unfortunately, this season, I don't think we've seen enough of that Hercules, but Hercules that night was absolutely superb. So for me, one of the highs was that evening, that race. Hercules really showing us that he is still one of the very best in this league, and one still to beat. And even Gamer that evening found it particularly difficult to beat Hercules. So that's, for me, one of the highs is certainly that evening and the stellar drive from Hercules.
Yeah, absolutely. Really, well, it's a season that he's probably going to look back on and think of what ifs. And but Hercules, a man I'm sure will be ready to go for next season on F1 2020. And of course, all of that will be announced very, very shortly. So make sure you're signed up to the socials and follow us on there for all information about anything that's coming out. We'll be trying to kick off as early as possible. So yeah, social media is the place to find out about that, and equally the website invictusracingleague.com, and of course Invictus RL on Twitter, Invictus Racing League on Facebook and on Instagram for all the information from F1 2020. Just go back, a high for me. I think you've got to look at, there's two things I've got kind of mixing together here is Harry and his startling improvement this season from last season. We saw him over the last few seasons pick up the pace a little bit, but this season he's really, especially in the first half of the season, took it to Gamer, and like you said, Gamer just kind of stretched his legs out in the final part of the season. But and equally the teamwork between himself and Scott, and unfortunately Scott, a previous Monday night champion in the now defunct No Assist League, he's had to unfortunately play a bit of a number two to Harry this season. But the two have done well in the Williams. You've seen them working together in qualifying, and so it's good to see the two working together. But equally, it's been a decent season for Harry. As disappointed it will be to not pick up the championship, he's got to look back at it and think he essentially did the best of what he had.
Yeah, definitely. And like you say, the Williams team, I think, worked really well. Some of the tracks where they were practicing the toe, and most of the time were the best team at pulling off the toe. And Harry was certainly getting a good deal out of that. They certainly would be proud of that. But like you say, Scott probably feels a little frustrated, I imagine, that it didn't quite work out for him as well to be able to fight right up there with Harry. For just briefly talk about a low for me, and that would have to be from John Polainen, our last season's champion. I have to say, unfortunately, it's just not happened for him this season, and it's a shame really, because we saw such a titanic battle between him and Hercules last season. It went right down to the final race of the season, didn't it? We weren't gonna get that from him this season for many reasons. I'm not sure, and unfortunately I don't believe he's joining us as well tonight. So John Polainen gone out a bit of a whimper really. It would have been nice to have seen him really defend his title. We know he's got the pace, and unfortunately we just didn't quite see that from him this season.
No, the Finn definitely struggling this season, and yeah, that kind of brings me on to one of my lows as well, and that's previous winners struggling this season. And yeah, we've seen a number of different drivers this season not being able to get back up to the pace. We've seen Scott, of course, former champion, White Fountain, multi-time winner on a Monday night, has been just absolutely nowhere this season. Like you said, Jumper Linen well off the pace. Scopefielder in his return, although he did take that season out, and will be, you give him a season to get back into ring shape, but equally way off the pace that we were expecting from him, the man that holds the all-time win record here in Invictus. And so yeah, it's been a season of kind of like these returning drivers in Gamer, and equally new drivers in the likes of KJ Eltink, who came in and did very nicely in qualifying, maybe not so much in the race category, but definitely over one lap was able to kind of blow the field away quite often, leaving these guys that have previously been able to rule the roost here in F1 kind of to the wayside a little bit.
Yeah, definitely, and it just shows you just what sort of level, especially this season, what game is set, what sort of level you need to be at, and be at consistently. Because if you are not right up there consistently, you're going to find yourself really struggling. You will find yourself way down the orders. Some days you might have a good race, but if you don't have a good race every single week, like Gamer has, you are really going to struggle to challenge for podiums and wins. And that's what it takes now in this league to be able to fight for a championship. And Harry, like we've just said, Harry was just about there. Unfortunately, those few off races for him just kind of gifted it to Gamer in the end. But I think overall, just swinging back to the positive side and the high side, I think Gamer, it's been an absolute pleasure to watch him race again in IRL this season. He's been absolutely superb. We're riding on board with him. He looks smooth, sleek, fast. He's been absolutely superb. Only one race where you could say it was a real off day for him, and that's that Spanish Grand Prix. But yes, Gamer, absolutely superb. And I hope, fingers crossed, going into the next season, the new game, we see the likes of Hercules, Jean Paline and Harry Harry, maybe even a Scott or Charlie, really giving it, and Hercules as well, really giving it to a game, and we'll have a real good first season with these fine drivers this evening on a Monday night, and we kick off the new season on the new game with a bang.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, like you say, Gamer has been just phenomenal this season. He's as you say, apart from round 4 in Spain, where he scored that 0 points after just being really having that off day, he's not finished any lower than second, which shows you just how consistent he's been. It's only really Harry in the first half of the season and Hercules in the second half of the season that's been able to take it to the young Brit, and the Renault driver ended up walking away with the championship. Harry, unfortunately, after the season's break, and really came back with that win in Hungary. Followed it up with a second place in Italy, but with Gamer picking up consecutive wins, and then Harry off of the podium for the last 3 races has kind of really meant that the Gamers stretched that gap out to 147. So yeah, a huge 39-point advantage. You can see lovely blue skies here above the Principality in Monte Carlo, part of Monaco. And yeah, it's a circuit. It's the jewel in the crown of F1. A little of a Marmite circuit for many, but it is, of course, one of the iconic circuits in Formula 1. It's a 3.3 kilometre circuit. That's just over 2 miles. It's the shortest on the F1 calendar. It doesn't actually fall into the distance that's meant to be allowed for a race distance, but it's given special dispensation because it is, of course, a special event. Distance to T1, 210 metres from pole position. That's just over 0.13 of a mile, shortest of the season actually. Longest straight is only 510 metres, which is the straight. Top speed, not too high around here, as to be expected, 183 miles an hour. That's 295 k's. Full throttle, only 50% of the lap, of course. You are under braking quite often around here, so expect to see a lot of, well, a lot of bunching up, especially in qualifying. It's be interesting to see how these guys manage to get around when it comes to traffic in front of them. Fuel consumption is relatively low. You can recover it, especially if you're stuck behind people. Medium for ERS demands. You can recover pretty easily around most of this track, especially if you're following or in the tow. Gear changes 48 over the lap distance. That makes 3,744 for a 50% race distance, which we are doing this evening. And Sab, we've got a couple of drivers filtering their way out on circuit. No Gamer, no KJ. So who's going to step up this evening and take the fight?
That is a good question. You'd have to possibly look at the likes of Hercules. Hercules, when he's usually on form, he's right up there. But we know Foxy Red is a bit of a Monaco specialist around here, so definitely keep an eye on him to see how he goes round here. I'm just right on board with Scott Bugner at 7 at the moment in the Williams. He's about to come round to start his first final. Just wanted to give you a bit of nugget of information. Apparently, at the start of the race, we're going to have some light rain, so that's really going to spice things up for the start of the race for these guys. Hopefully, it's not too bad for them, but yeah, light rain at the start could prove very interesting. And Scott, on the first corner, has already invalidated. That first corner, very tricky, and Scott already invalidated.
Yeah, so I think you'll find quite a few of those happening tonight. As I'm aboard with Burmeister, the man in the Ferrari. He's chasing down, coming through Portier now, in towards the tunnel. He's got a bit of traffic up ahead of him, shouldn't hurt him too much. They should get out of his way if he does manage to catch them. The Toro Rosso and the Williams of Harry up ahead. You can see a slight front left lock up there for the Dutchman, but he manages to get out of the Nouvelle chicane pretty handily, so no worries there for him. Into Tobacco and now into swim pool chicane, and want to be taking as much of the curb as possible, keep up as much straight line speed into Raskas and into Anthony Nogues to end the lap. The orange blazoned helmet as Harry does a 111 flat to start off the session. Burmeister's going to come across the line. What can he do? It's 111.3. Not a bad time from the Ferrari driver.
Just riding on board with Hercules now. He's coming towards the end of the lap in his purple middle sector. He's absolutely flying. He's got a Williams ahead of him. Shouldn't be too much of an issue. That is Scott Bugner. Shouldn't be too much of an issue. He might even get a little bit of a tow going towards the line here. And what can Hercules do? And it's a 109.322. That is a great banker lap there for the McLaren driver.
Yeah, Sam
Oh wow!
beats him by a tenth of a second. Great time there from the Spaniard. And the man from Tenerife is shot up, and that really puts the cat amongst the pigeons, because I'm sure that Hercules was thinking that's a decent banker lap, and no, Sam comes and beats it. So a little bit of work to be done for Hercules if he's to snatch that back off Sam, as it looks as though Scott's going for a second push lap after invalidating the first one. Kicks the rear end down the exit of Portier, and the cosmic helmet, can he send it to the stars down to the Nouvelle chicane? He's got to get it slowed down. Don't tag the inside curb. Very easy to send the car around, and now that's that short sprint up to Tabac, and you want to keep your foot on the throttle for as much as possible in this third sector. It's only really when you get up towards Rascasse that you put the foot in the brake, and in towards the final corner you see the Williams going into the pit lane. The second one is staying out, and he's going to kick the rear end again. Scott drifting his way around the final part of this lap. DRS flap open as we make the run to the line. Can he get it a good time? It's a 9.94, so into the nines for Scott, so I'm sure he'll be happy with that one.
Yeah, he definitely will be happy with that one. I'm just riding on board now with Hercules' teammate, FPL. He's coming down to the swimming pool section now. He's got a Mercedes just distracting slightly, but the Mercedes gets out of the way nicely. It shouldn't be too much of an issue now. He's going to come round the final corner. What can Charlie give us of his first flying run? He's heading towards line, tucking to the right-hand side. What can Charlie do? It's a 1:10.8. That puts him P7 out of the 9 times set so far.
As Beck tags the curb at the inside of the Nouvelle chicane, so he's the first one to feel the wrath of that little bit of Armco that sticks out there. Up ahead we've got Foxy Red, the man that self-admitted he loves this circuit. He's already said that he can't wait to race around here, and equally for that light rain, he said that if the rain does come, that he feels pretty comfortable around here. So he's a man to watch. Can see he's going to go a little bit slower here. He's on a second push lap, but it's a 1:10.3, so it's a banker there for the Alfa Romeo driver, but expect to see Foxy improving later on in this session. And who else? We've got Cliffy out on circuit. He's the only one that's decided to go for the medium tyres for a bank lap. Cliffy, a man that we've seen fight from the back, unfortunately it's not really the circuit you want to do that, so as long as he can get this medium run out the way and he can get a run on the softs, then that's no worries. But if you do this medium run, get stuck at the back, and then unfortunately get caught up in traffic, or if you get obviously hindered with any time penalties or excursions across track later, it's the worst circuit, Sab, isn't it, for fighting through the field, because it's almost impossible.
Oh yeah, definitely. I was about to say, if Cliffy can pull off one of these famous fight from the back and into the top 5 races tonight of all races in this race, it would be something very, very special. So Cliffy, I think he'd probably trying to work his way to the very front and see what he can do here now on the set of mediums. Where is it going to put him? Wow, now that is a very impressive lap on the medium tyre, a 1:9.572. It puts him third ahead of Scott, who set his time on a set of softs. So that's very impressive from Cliffy.
Yeah, that's a stunning lap there from the Racing Point driver on the medium rubber. That's really gonna, imagine, shock a couple of the drivers up, especially likes of Scott, Andre, who did a 10.1 there. But yeah, to set that time on the mediums, oh, that's going to be tasty when he puts a set of the Red Bull tyres on, isn't it? And we're on board with Nathan Six, and he's coming into the swimming pool. One of the new drivers joined us last week in Silverstone and did a pretty handy job as well with also with Andre, who's in the Ferrari, is currently in 5th position. So what can the Red Bull driver do? Both of them, he almost takes the paint off the right hand side. He goes up into 8th, 1:10.374, 200ths of a second slower than Foxy and 2/10 faster than TL44S.
Just keeping an eye on Harry, but Harry has invalidated, so Harry won't be going any quicker right now. He's down in 11th place, and right ahead of him he's got Adri Lockdock, who's also invalidated in the Toro Rosso, so Adri won't be setting any times as he locks up massively there. I think he was trying to keep Harry in a place, but he's going to go again, Adri Lockdock, and try and set another time now and see if he can not invalidate, but he almost put it into the barrier there. He was trying to keep it out of the way of Harry, but luckily for him he managed to keep it on the black stuff.
Ice-T, who took a nice chunk out of the wall at to back, actually manages to get up into the nines, a 198, so possibly cost himself a couple of tenths. There's a 1-9 dead for Hercules, puts
Wow.
him up into pole position at the moment, so that's the time to beat as we are just over halfway through this qualifying session. Where is Scott's on track as well? He's currently going a fraction faster, so the Williams driver, he's going to be looking at improving on that time. He's currently in in fifth position, which would be top 5 is the same position he actually scored last week. And Scott's qualifying has been all over the place so far this season. He's picked up a 4th place, a 2nd place, and then apart from that, it's all been 8th, 7th, 12th. So yeah, one man that's not really found his form in qualifying. He's going to come up to the line. Can he get into the nines once again and improve? Scott comes up. It is. It's a 19380. So just off of Sam, who's still in the pit lane. But good lap there from Scott. And this is putting the pressure on Harry, who's on his out lap. He's done that banker of 111, which is way off the pace. So he must have had an instance somewhere on circuit, because you've got to think that Harry, although his 2nd place is secure in the championship, he won't want to be stuck in this this battle in the mid-pack, because effectively, if you get stuck there, your race is going to be incredibly long, especially if we're expecting rain.
Yeah, definitely. It won't be easy from there. The pressure will be on with the last 7.5 minutes to go. I just wanted to point out it was a nice lap as well from Beck 9000. He jumped up into 6th place with a 110 flat. So decent lap there for Beck in the Taurus. I'm just keeping an eye on Andre now. Andre coming across the line in the Ferrari. Can he improve on what he's done? He does improve with a 19680. Puts him up into P5. So a lot of people now starting to break into that 109 mark. I imagine with 7 minutes on the clock, it's going to get quite tight in there around the top 5 places.
Yeah, the track is definitely starting to rubber in. It's less green. There's rubber being dropped on the circuit from all these guys running around on the soft tyre that's just stripping away the carcass. And as TL44S comes up to the line, jumps up from 12th into 8th position, up into the top 10. So good lap there from the Mercedes driver. He is not too far off of his teammate, who's about 2 tenths up the road. So we'll see what Harry can do. He's on a flying lap, so we'll go on board with the Williams driver and we'll watch what he can do, and we'll put him under pressure. He's not actually been on the front row of the grid since Hungary many races ago, back in round 7. So we're at 5 races since he was last able to get it on the front row of the grid, and it's going to be a bit nervy lap for him. You can see him here a little bit feathering the throttle on the exit into Portier, and now into the tunnel. He's going to get that blinding light as you see it flashes into your eyes as you get it down into the braking point. Very difficult to work out where your braking point is as soon as you acclimatise from the dark into the light, into the back. Now you want to be almost kissing that inside line. He's just drifted a little bit wide, but he's gone purple, so it's a good time. He's taken a 2nd off of his last time, so he's going to need to really storm this last part of the lap. He locks up the front left tyre. That means he's gone a little bit deep into Raskas, runs into Anthony Noakes. Use that curb on the outside to give yourself a little bit of extra momentum. Comes across the line. Harry puts himself up in 6th place. It's only a 109.833, but an improvement from 111.
Yeah, that's better to see Harry up there, but I'm just keeping an eye on Cliffy. Cliffy's just had one go on these set of softs and was slower. So Cliffy not improving on his first one, but he's pushing for a 2nd lap here, and he's 9 thousandths of a second faster so far than his medium run. Just down at Nouvelle Chicane now, he's much tidy through there. He went very deep on his first run round, heading towards the swimming pool section, and he's now 2.5 tenths up. So Cliffy, if he can master these last few corners, he should improve, and we should see Cliffy get close to, say, around Sam's time in 2nd. I can't imagine he'd go up with Hercules, but see how well he's nailed it, and well, there you go, it's around Sam's time, and it is pretty close to Hercules as well. 20 thousandths of a second. Cliffy puts himself into P2.
Blink and you'll miss it. The gap between those two, I'm sure Cliffy will be thinking, why not 21 thousandths of a second faster? Where could those 21 thousandths of a second have been from? But he does just about get himself up onto the front row of the grid. Sam a 10th back on those guys, so He's into the box as we've got 4 minutes and 40 seconds left to go in the session. Plenty of time to come out and set another lap, and we'll see what anyone else is on track doing. Beck is currently in 9th position in the Toro Rosso on a 10 flat. The Scotsman will be looking at improving that time after a pretty decent banker earlier on, but we'll see if the man in the Toro Rosso that's had a bit of an incident-laden season, likewise with his teammate Adri Lockdock, and Adri down in 16th position at the moment. The two Toro Rossos haven't had the best of seasons at all, and he just about misses the wall in the exit to back, and he's up by just around about 2 1/4 tenths of a second. So we'll see if he can improve on this time. He's currently on that 10 flat, and that 2 tenths would get him up around about where Harry is. So Harry's under threat of dropping behind the Toro Rosso. Across the line comes Beck, and he does displace Harry down into 8th position. Good lap 109.7. Most likely Beck's last run to the flag.
It's looking like a decent session for Beck, 9,000 at the moment. Up there in 7th place. I'm just going to keep an eye on Scott Bugner as he's going to have one run here now on the soft tyres. He's took his time. It's been a quite slow lap, just making sure he's got a clear run on his next run. Can he master that first corner? He does master that first corner, so no invalidation there. Scott on his way for possibly his final run of the session.
Yep, as Charlie, I apologise, is currently 3 tenths up at the exit of the first sector, and Charlie, he's not actually had a top 5 start, since Abu Dhabi. So that's a long time ago. Round 2 was the last time we saw Charlie in the top 5 in qualifying. So it's an area that he's not been able to get right this season. He has said, as he hits the wall on the exit of the Novell chicane there, and that's clipped off the front left end plate, and that's not going to help him at all. I would imagine, he's dropped all that time, so that's not going to help Charlie at all. He's going to be into the box at the end of this lap, and Charlie will be starting. I was just about to say it was looking like a decent lap, but he will be starting from the back of the field. Scott is improving, but it's only fractionally, looking like it's not enough in the end. He bails out of it the last minute, so into the box in 4th position for Scott, the man that's played second fiddle to his teammate, giving him a lot of help in qualifying. Currently out qualifying him, so Harry, a lot of pressure under him at the moment. Hercules, however, is, as Adri retires, he's down in 16th position. We've got yellow in sector 2. That looks to be a slow Toro Rosso. It's a very slow Toro Rosso. In fact, it's stationary.
Yeah, he's buried the car in the wall there at the Nouvelle chicane, and Hercules has clattered the wall there, and he's took significant front wing damage. Can he see this to the end here? Can Hercules improve? That was a big old clatter. I can't imagine sure he's going to improve. He doesn't improve. In the end, it's that big bang against the wall has cost him a tenth of a second there. He was just about where he was setting his last time, and unfortunately for Hercules, that big damage to his front wing has cost him there. And can Cliffy on a lap now, he's the man to watch. Can he snatch pole away from Hercules? Cliffy is up in the first sector. Purple first sector for Cliffy.
As Harry exits the Novell chicane, kicks the rear end out for fun. Of course, he's, as I said, sewn up second in the championship. So although he will want to finish on a high, he knows that Gamer took the championship away from him. And this is a scrappy end to the lap for Harry. He's going to go deep into Raskas, and that's going to hurt him. All this time that he had gained, you can see he's losing hand over fist, losing the rear. Once again, he's overheating these tyres in this third sector. Very easy to do. Yeah, loses half a second in the third sector. Very easy to do. We've seen it happen a lot. The fact that these cars the tyres will get hotter and hotter and hotter, and by the third sector they are well over that working temperature, and it's very easy once you get to the Raskas and Anthony Nogue section just to lose really the edge on them and start kicking the rear end out, as Cliffy looks as though he's going for his lap now, and he's going to go for a push, and we'll go on board with him, and into the box comes Hercules. He's not going any further on in the qualifying session. We've got 12 seconds left to go. Plenty more running. You can see a lot of drivers out on track. Across the line comes one of the Williams. We'll go on board with him, but we'll see, can Cliffy improve? He's just under a tenth of a second faster in the first sector into the Lowe's hairpin, or the Grand Hotel hairpin. And now down in towards Portier, and it's the exit underneath the tunnel into the lights, and the roar as the engines go round as Sab with Pepito putting it in provisional pole of 108.960. So now this has really put the pressure on Cliffy. He's got the pace. Can he keep it hooked up? Can he keep those tyres working for the final stages of this lap? We'll stick on board with the Racing Point driver, and we'll see, can he stick with it and take his first pole position? It would be a brilliant lap from him if he can do. Sam, absolutely stunning lap from here as Cliffy kicks the rear end out. You can see those tyres getting hotter, getting hotter. Can he do it? He runs up to the line. He's going to come across the line. Cliffy only up into second position, misses out once again by 0.02 of a second, but demotes Hercules down to third. Scott is coming up to the line. Is he going to kick with it? No, he's missing a significant portion of that front wing, and by significant I mean all of it. Beck is missing a lot of front wing as well, so a lot of these drivers pushing very hard indeed. But what a lap from Sam. 108.960, gets himself up into pole position, just sneaks it ahead of Cliffy, who takes a decent second place ahead of Hercules and Scott.
I was right on board with Sam, and it was a hell of a lap from him. First sector, he was 1,000ths quicker, and then he got it up again a bit more to 60,000ths of a second, and you thought, it's just creeping, and the final sector, he absolutely nailed it. Going through the swim pool section, he was absolutely superb, right up against the barrier, perfectly, and got that final few corners absolutely nailed on and got that 108.9. It was absolutely superb from the Spanish driver in the Haas car, and that is exactly what you need to do to really nail a lap around here. It was a superb lap from him. Unfortunately for Cliffy, if Sam hadn't done that, Cliffy would have got that pole position, but I'm sure Cliffy, being on the front row especially, will be very pleased about that.
Less than half a tenth splits the top three. That's how close it is around here. Sam Pepito takes it 108.960 ahead of Cliffy. Hercules in third, Scott in fourth, Schofield, a great result from him. Didn't see that in fifth position. Ice-T in sixth, Andre in seventh, Foxy in eighth, Beck in ninth, Harry only makes 10th, TL44S, Nathan, Fountain in 13th, Charlie in 14th, Burmeister in 15th, and Adri back in 16th position. Brilliant qualifying session to end the season, and Sab, I've got a few stats for you just to indulge you whilst we wait for these guys to red up and go on towards the formation lap. And as we do, we'll just quickly highlight these guys on F1 2019 as part of Monday Night, formerly known as this league. And then the IRL F1 League, as you see the rain falling in Monaco. That's going to really mix it up in the first stages. Can't wait to see what these guys do with that. But we've seen 771 points scored this season alone between the entire all the drivers. We've had a record-breaking 3 seasons here on a Monday night as part of on F1 2019, which has included almost 8,000 views on YouTube. Including pre-season, we've used all 20 F1 circuits. This season's winners, we've seen Gamer with 7, Harry with 2, Hercules with 2, Podiums, 2 for KJ, 2 for Scott, 2 for Foxy Red, 2 for Cliffy, Sam Pito has taken 3, Harry took 5, and Gamer took 3. And last time we were here, I'd say pole was a 109.563. So that shows you how much faster we've got. The pole time has gone down by almost 7/10 of a second. So yeah, it's a stunning qualifying session. We were last here 315 days ago, Sam. The 29th of July. My 30th birthday last year, actually, when we were last here at Monaco. And that, so these guys, it's a circuit they're probably a little bit distant with. Probably not too many people are used to this one. But yeah, it's been a record-breaking F1 2019 for us on a Monday night, and it's been always, and we always say this at the end of every season, it's been so much fun to cover it.
It really has, and one thing I do have to add to that is that I always love hearing your stats. I hope everybody watching also does as well. They are fascinating. It's absolutely interesting what you were saying, and I just want to say a big thank you to everybody for viewing us and joining us on a Monday night. Hopefully we entertain you enough to keep you in here with us, and we can take you into the new game and have some more fun, some great racing on the new game. It's So we're watching this rain now. What a way to end the season, eh? Wet weather at Monaco. It could not have teased us anymore. And you look back at the last few races, it's been a real challenge for these guys, hasn't it? Because we've had mixed conditions for last 3 races now. So it's not like it's been a cakewalk for any of these guys at all. And now to add to the challenge of driving around here in the wet of Monaco, it's going to be absolutely interesting because I believe they are all on dry tyres. So I'm just looking now, they're all on dry tyres apart from TL44S and Mr. Nathan 6 in 11th and 12th. So the wet weather must just be okay for these dry tyres, but surely it's going to be very tricky to keep these cars not from entering those barriers, especially in the early stage when the tyres will be cold.
Yeah, this is going to be really treacherous, these guys. It's going to be incredibly greasy out on the circuit. Of course, the circuit must be warm enough to be evaporating water to allow these guys to be out there on the dry tyres. But yeah, it is what a way to end the season by really putting these drivers to the test. And God, game fatigue, season fatigue, whether you think that you're in it or not, there's still battles going on in the championship. However, you've still got third needs to be sewn up. That's the gap between third is currently, well, Hercules needs to outscore Sam by 2 points, but at the moment he's 2 positions back on the grid, so he's got some work to do if he's to overhaul Sam. Charlie currently in 5th on 48 points, Cliffy on 47 points, and Scott on 45, so those 3 still battling over 5th place in the championship as well. So still positions, they may be slightly elementary, but still up to be sorted out. And yeah, and whilst we just finish up the formation lap, as you can see, everyone doing a lot of wheel spin to try and get as much temperature into those tyres as possible. Just like to say a massive thank you to everyone, as Sab said, that has been joining us this season in the comments, in the just watching the streams. And once again, I'm going to be cheeky and say if we can get another 15 likes on this video, that'd be a massive help. It really helps us push the videos through to new viewers to get recommended. And equally, if you're not already, subscribe and enjoy to get more. Of course, we're here on Mondays. We'll be back on F1 2020 and of course realistic performance on a Tuesday night, equal performance F2 and F3 on Wednesday nights, and we've got some exciting news coming up regarding all of that very, very shortly. But for now, we're about to kick off the final race of the season here on F1 2019 on the streets of Monte Carlo in Monaco. The red lights are on. We've got 2, 3, 4, 5. We're out and we're ready to go here in Monte Carlo for the Monaco Grand Prix, round 12 of the IRL F1 League. And you can see the sliding has already begun. Who can get it slowed down for Sandoval? It looks as though we've got through the field pretty cautiously. All behind, you can see the Mercedes all out of shape there, but it's a good start from Sam. Hercules jumps Cliffy up into 2nd position. That's what he needed to do. It's into the what? Scott's going to try and go around the inside into the outside, and that's a bold move, but he gets it done. What a move from the Williams driver. Fantastic early opportunity. Scopefielder already thinking about it, but he's equally going to get attacked by the Mercedes behind, so he's going to dive to the inside of Lowe's hairpin. You can see everyone concertinaing up to get it slowed down. Harry sends it out the inside. We've got the Beck 9000 too tight into the hairpin at the Lowe's hairpin, and unfortunately tags the wall, and he's going to drop right down the field. But a great start from Sam, keeps the pressure up on, although Hercules keeping the pressure up on him. The rain coming down, you can see these drivers struggling out on circuit, Sab.
Yeah, they really are. Some people trying too wide at the Lowe's hairpin was just absolutely incredible. I'd never seen that before. We've got a yellow flag in sector 2, and there is a Ferrari facing sideways, and unfortunately it is Andre, and Andre has lost a big proportion of his front wing there, and he's trying to get it turned round now. The tricky conditions have forced him round, and luckily he's got the car going again, so we shouldn't see any safety cars as the yellow flags do come in, but Andre will have to come into the pits. Yeah, it looks as though he just lit the tyres up too much on the exit in Nova chicane and into the wall. Of course, very tricky conditions, very greasy, very slippery. And I say very slidey, but it will be very slidey. These guys will be drifting. Of course, everyone in IRL F1 running no assists, as you can see.
really cautious on the throttle for Cliffy as he chases down that lost position that he'd missed out to Hercules and to Scott, who made an incredibly opportunistic move around the outside of Massenet and into the Casino Square corner at turn 4. Behind, it looks as though we've got a lot going on.
Yeah, we've got Beck 9000 who's lost a large proportion of his front wing, and he's becoming just like a cork in the bottle right now. He's got TL4FS pretty much pushing him along, but TL4FS is also struggling on those medium tyres. And then you've got White Fountain, FPL Charlie and Burmeister not far behind. Beck 9000 just can't keep the car going round the corners at the moment. He's very cautious right now, and he's started to bridge a gap between himself and Harry, and this is going to frustrate the likes of TL4FS, White Fountain, FPL Charlie behind, because they cannot get behind that Toro Rosso at the moment. And you'd imagine surely now Bet 9000 will be coming into the pits for a brand new front wing, because he's massively struggling on those tyres, but he's not. He's carried on. That's very brave.
Into the pit lane does come TL4FS, who clouted the wall on the exit to back and lost the front right part of his front wing. So the first front wing change of anyone this evening is for the Mercedes, and expect to see the pit lane very busy this evening, especially with these weather conditions. I'm expecting to see a number of drivers struggling to keep all the carbon fibre attached to their car for the entirety of this race. And Scott did say to me before the race that he's not planning on picking up any damage or penalties this evening. So yeah, that bet's on. We'll see how that one works out for him. And he's currently running in 3rd position, so he might be getting a bit of a nosebleed at the moment, because that's not something we've seen from him too often so far this season. He's now got Cliffy breathing down his neck in 4th position, but they're not dropping or not being dropped, sorry, by the leaders Sam Pito and Hercules. So Sam, he's doing a good job at the moment, but he's got 3 cars behind him. We've got a 4-car battle for 1st position, then a 2.5-second gap, and you've got 2 Alphas that have had a good start up into 5th and 6th position.
They really have, and that's what I was just about to lead to. Foxy Red has managed to get the move done on Ice-T, just on the Lowe's hairpin there. And Foxy Red now on his way to try and catch up to his teammate Schofield, 1.8 seconds up the road. So at the moment, an Alfa Romeo team having a decent session as FPL Charlie picks up a 3-second time penalty. But yeah, at the moment it's quite close, isn't it, at the top? But Sam doing the job at the minute of just keeping those cars behind, keeping it nice and tidy, making sure does nothing a bit too silly in these conditions.
No, absolutely not. It's all about keeping your nerve here, and of course, no traction control, no ABS. It's all about car control. These guys are right on the edge of grip, and they've got to be really careful about where they put their braking points. As you can see, Andre after that early attempt or early escapade into the wall, he's in last position. Adrian Lockdock must have made an early stop as well, along with TL4S, who's gone onto the hard tyres. So TL4S planning to run to the end, I would imagine. The hard tyres will effectively do the entire race around here, so expect to see the Mercedes driver run those to the end. Andre does the fastest lap at 23.30, and that's indicative of how slow the pace is. We saw qualifying in the around the 8s and the 9s, and they're doing 23. So that shows you just how much they're struggling out there on the dry tyres that obviously just wasn't quite wet enough to make the intermediates work.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just keeping an eye on some of the cars further back. And White Fountain, he's struggling somewhat in 12th place at the moment. The Haas driver is trying to keep it with FPL Charlie. FPL Charlie struggling himself, but at the moment White Fountain not having the best of times down there. And some of the people are stretching out now as Mr. Nathan in the Red Bull comes in for a front wing. He's the second guy to come in for a front wing. He's going to go on to a set of hards. I've just seen now in the pit lane he had significant front wing damage, so Mr. Nathan will be dropping down to around 12th or 13th when he possibly comes out of the pit lane.
A lot of penalties flashing up in the last few laps, and we'll try and keep a tabs of them, but I imagine they might be quite frequent, especially in these conditions. The TL4S just picked up 3 seconds. Charlie had picked up a couple of laps prior, and I believe Ice-T may have done as well. So, yeah, as you can see, Cliffy starting to fall off the back of Scott here, and so you've got Scott closing in on this lead battle, Hercules and Sam, and Sam and Hercules, of course, split in the championship for 3rd position, that bronze medal. and they're split by as 2 points as Cliffy picks up 3 seconds there into the Novell chicane. But Scott now really closing in on Hercules, and this is the last thing Hercules wants. He doesn't want to be defending, he wants to be attacking Sam for the win, who's already stretched this lead out as Beck picks up 3 seconds. But yeah, Scott now going on the offensive. Hercules knows he needs to clear Sam if he says Cliffy's into the box, it seems. He is, so the Racing Point in for a new set of tyres. These soft tyres obviously not working out for him, as Nathan picks up 3 seconds, so I don't care. Sab, I think we're in for a busy evening for the stewards box.
We really are, and I was just about to say to you, will we be getting some team orders down at Alfa Romeo? And I got my answer before I got to speak about it. Foxy Red was allowed through just after the Nouvelle chicane to go past Schofield. Schofield pulled to the left-hand side, pretty much waved the flag to come on through, and Foxy Red went past him. And now Foxy Red, who looks the faster out of the two drivers, he pulled it in Schofield quite quickly from 2 seconds. So good teamwork there from the Alfa Romeo, because there's not many places around here, is there, to really let a teammate through. It's very tricky. There's a lot of tight corners around here. So good work there from the Alfa Romeo team. Foxy Red already 6.4 seconds behind third place, so he'll be hoping to try and reel them in, as Schofield now starting to slowly fall into the clutches of ITT.
Yeah, so the two Alphas trading positions, and obviously Schofield is saying to Foxy, if you think you can close down the top 3, go for it, because at the moment he doesn't want to be held up any longer by the Swede, and he's now going to have to fend off Ice-T in 6th, and Harry, who is in kind of no man's land at the moment in 7th position. Behind, Beck 9000 has now got Charlie and Cliffy, who's of course on that fresh rubber, those fresh mediums he's gone for, and he's closed in right up to these guys leading up the front, and you can see Beck, with that wing damage that he suffered earlier in the race, is going to be holding up Charlie. And this is where Monaco becomes incredibly frustrating, just having to follow drivers around that, even if they've got front or they've got wing damage, they've got tyres that are dying, you know that you've really got to be incredibly careful, especially in the rain, about where you put the car, because one false move, one silly overtake, and you'll find yourself pointing in the wrong direction. Charlie losing the back end, and that's going to allow Cliffy to go up the inside of him, and sends it up the inside, up in through Beau Rivage into Massenet, and sends it down the outside to the inside of Beck. And Cliffy gets 2 moves done in one. Charlie's going to go through as well. Beck loses 2 positions in a matter of corners, but wow, that is superb driving from Cliffy, just finding the grip on these new tyres, and equally just as soon as the opportunity arose, there he was in a flash, sent it, used the incident from, or the accident from Charlie, and then equally Beck obviously looking in his mirrors, wasn't paying attention, and Charlie up the inside, and we've got a yellow in sector 2, so Ice-T is out the race. It looks as though it might be at the Novell chicane.
It is, and unfortunately for Ice-T, that has brought out a virtual safety car. So Ice-T, I don't know what's happened there, but the car is parked right in the middle of that chicane. So whether he's had an accident coming out of the tunnel and he's spun and lost it there, I don't know. But we do have virtual safety car, and that has brought the top 3 into the pit lane. So that has triggered a lot of pit stops there. Foxy Red carries on, so Foxy Red takes the lead of the race for now, as DRS has now been enabled. So DRS is now enabled as the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th are all in the pit lane. So frantic action down in the pit lane right now, but DRS is now enabled, so it must be getting drier out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And although DRS around here is about useful as a chocolate teapot sometimes, because you can't send the move into San Devot. So yeah, that's a slightly useless piece of information that the race directors have sent these drivers. But yep, Sam Pito, Hercules, Scott using the VSC to take a slightly cheaper pit stop than they would have had otherwise. Also into the pit lane came Harry, has come Beck, Fountain, TL44S is making another stop. Scopefielder made his as well, but it does leave Foxy Red out there. FPL Charlie yet to make a stop. He's still running on the soft tyres that he started the race on. And we'll see, have we got anyone close behind? We've got Beck 9000, he's just around about on these fresh rubber. He's chasing down Andre for 11th position, and Beck looking for another point scoring finish this evening. It's something that's come at a premium for Beck so far this season. He's currently in 17th position in the championship, 4 points only on the season. Only 2 9th place finishes in Brazil and in Italy have come his way, but he's chasing down 11th at the moment, so he'll be looking at improving on that one. And his teammate, unfortunately, is in 14th, so even further down the order. So as Cliffy does a 1:21.830, so the Racing Point, who looked to try and come in early and get the jump on the guys up the front, has not quite paid out for him after he got stuck behind Charlie and Beck for a couple of laps. He's now 3 seconds behind Scott, so the undercut didn't quite work out for the Racing Point.
It really didn't, and interesting strategy down at Alfa Romeo with Foxy Red. Foxy Red has stayed out again, so he's still out on those soft tyres. 8 laps now he's on soft tyres, but Sam Pitto is closing him in at a rate of knots, and it's soon to bring Hercules along as well. So Foxy Red really not making any inroads staying out here, so surely this is going to not help him at all. This is going to indeed end up frustrating Sam. Sam's got to show a lot of patience here, not to try and force his way past this Alfa Romeo, because he could easily pick up wing damage or even worse. So he's got to try and work out when best to get past this Alfa Romeo. Can he get past him in this stint, or is he going to have to wait for Foxy Red to come through? But this is allowed now. Hercules, you can see, Hercules now half a second behind the Haas driver. So Foxy Red is really holding up the front drivers here. As Foxy Red stays out again for another lap, so Foxy Red really starting to prove to be very frustrating for these second, third and fourth. As Scott has caught up to the back of this. As now Sam does try, no, he doesn't try. He thought he was going to make a move, but Foxy Red really started to frustrate the original front running 3.
Or Sam's going to think about it, and this is what you've got to watch out for. These guys, we're all trying to send it. Scott's going to go to the inside of Hercules, and there's the move done on him. So Scott jumps up past Hercules. Another fantastic move from him, and he's on fire, and Sam's going to go deep, and that's going to allow Scott down the inside, and you're not going to go too wide around the hairpin. Don't worry about that. He's going to have to think better of it. Scott's going to get parked in the wall if he thinks about trying to go too wide there. He just about managed to hold on to it. Sam was thinking about the move into Sandoval, got alongside, but the Toro Rosso coming out the pit lane scared the life out of him. But what it has done is allowed Cliffy to close right up as well. So we've got this lead battle of 5 cars, and Foxy Red is staying out. And this is one thing that Sam has needed to. Patience isn't really one of his best traits. He does try and force his hand early. So he's just got to. We're in a situation when you're at Monaco. You've got to realise you're going to be stuck behind cars. You don't want to overdrive the car. You don't want to put too much temperature into those tyres, and equally you don't want to hit the wall. And you can see Sam's now having to defend from Scott, who's trying to find a position. He's going to go around the outside into Massenet, and he gets the move done. Scott is on an absolute mission tonight.
Wow, and here he goes down the inside of Foxy Red, and he says, thank you very much, I have taken the lead. And what a move, what a lap and a half that has been from Scott. Scott behind Hercules initially gets the incredible move done there, and then 2 great moves after that, and now Scott has the lead of the race. And now what he could hope for is if Foxy Red can hold up Sam and Hercules, this could allow Scott to build a bit of a gap to Foxy. But saying that, Sam does eventually get the move done on Foxy Red, and now Hercules is the next man to try and get past him. But they're pretty much pushing themselves around the lowest hairpin there, as Cliffy is now starting to put pressure on Hercules.
And yeah, it is a stunning race so far from Scott. Where's this pace been all season? This is the Scott that we remember from when he won the championship a few seasons back. And Hercules is going to be thinking about the move on the Alfa Romeo, but not able to get past, and it's allowing Cliffy to stay with him. Ignore the Toro Rosso. Toro Rosso is a lap down of Avgir Lockdock, so that ghost will probably be getting in the eye line of some of these drivers, so it might be slightly irritating, as we do usually have ghosting turned off here, but he does clear these drivers now, so hopefully he'll get up the road and not be in the eye line. These drivers will need as much help as they can when it comes into the braking zones. And yeah, wow, guys, let us know if you're watching, what do you think so far at the start of this race? We've had an absolutely mega start from Scott, who's managed to fight his way through the field. He's now taken the lead, but he's got Sam all over the back of him once again. Hercules has lost 3.5 seconds behind Foxy Red with Sam and Scott up the road, so that shows you just how much the slower Alfa Romeo has held up. We've got a yellow in sector 2, is cleared quickly, but into the box does come Foxy Red. He's going to come out probably around sixth position or so, so that's not too bad to be able to fight back. He's got much fresher tyres to lead him probably to the end of this race, so I'd expect to see these guys try and run the one stop if they can. Sam Pepito trying to close down in this position he's lost to Scott, but if Scott is driving in the lead, anything like he's driving behind, that Sam's going to have his hands pretty full trying to get past at the moment, because it seems as though Scott's really got the bit between his teeth tonight.
It really has, and it's great to see Scott driving as well as he is so far, but there is a long way to go. 39 laps is this race. We're on lap 12 at the moment, and yeah, what can Sam do here now? Tricky conditions still, the rain still is falling. He, like you say, he's not always the most patient of drivers. Does he try and force his way through, or does he just see if Scott can make a mistake somewhere? Because there's not much around here you can do. He's got DRS, but as you pointed out earlier, it's not very effective going into turn one. So Scott, he'll be able to defend nicely. And Scott now and Sam have built up a nice cushion. Can Hercules work his way back into this battle? It's 3.3 seconds at the moment behind the front two.
Sam goes very deep into Massenet there, just misses the outside Armco barrier, so he's just about held on to both end plates on the on that Haas car. Both drivers, of course, without a win. Sam has managed to pick up two podiums this season, and Scott, of course, has picked up 2 podiums: a second place in Spain, a first place at the first round of the season in Japan, while Sam has taken, Sam's taken 3: a second place in Belgium, and a third place in Germany and in Italy. So both drivers looking for their first win on the season. Scott looking for a first win on a Monday night in well over 2 seasons. So yeah, if you're going to get it anywhere, this is definitely one to tick off, and he's doing the best he can at the moment. Started a little bit down the order, had to clear a couple of cars. He started in 4th position, cleared 3rd off the line, and has made absolutely stunning moves this evening. Cannot fault anything he's done so far, and he's now leading from San Pepito. MNT Hercules is in 3rd. Cliffy trying to stay with him for 4th position. Harry is a mountain back. 21 seconds he's dropped off the back here. Foxy Red is going to close in on him. Burmeister is now, he's moved up past Nathan, who looks as though he may have had an incident with the Novo chicane.
He did have an incident with Novo chicane, and now he's just clattered the barrier there. Mr. Nathan was doing well to hold both these Ferraris up, but he outbraked himself coming out of the tunnel and just pretty much went straight on. He tried to hold it, but unfortunately he's had to now come in for a front wing after that big clatter. Unfortunately for Mr. Nathan, he was managed to keep the Ferraris behind him, but didn't last for much longer. So Burmeister now, with his teammate in close quarters, is up into 7th place.
Yep, and it's kind of the 2 Ferraris, decent points for so, because Burmeister, unfortunately, due to his transgressions back in Brazil, was looking on to being the first driver in history to finish the season with a negative points record, because he's currently sitting on -2 points after those 2 championship points were deducted from him, and he was currently sitting on 0. So he was, Foxy's going to send it down the inside if Portier of Harry, and Harry's going to have to try and defend both of them, trying to get the wheels straightened up, but Foxy's going to get the move done. As Harry's going to try and snap back on him and go around the outside into the chicane, but Foxy does get the move done. Very opportunistic, and effectively around Monaco, that's what you need to be. You need to make the moves when they become available, and Harry just left the door open ever so slightly, and Foxy Red 2000 on those fresher tyres was able to make the benefit and get the move done up into 5th position, but he's now got a mountain to climb for he's to close down on Cliffy. But yeah, Burmeister going back to the Ferrari driver, 7th position, pretty good, decent job for him so far. The Dutchman is in his new Simbrig. He's got a brand new setup, and it looks very, very nice indeed. And I'm sure he'll be using that to great effect. So yeah, he's doing nicely. Andre, his teammate, in 8th position, is now having Charlie for company.
Andre lit the tyres up incredibly too much there on the start finish straight, was pretty much sideways going across the start finish line, and that gifted FPL Charlie a nice easy place up into 8th place. Andre was looking the faster of the 2 Ferraris. He was really putting the pressure on Burmeister, but unfortunately for Andre, lit the tyres up too much and found himself sideways, and FPL Charlie said thank you very much, and now Charlie will be looking to try and get past Burmeister. Burmeister looking like he's struggling somewhat out there at the moment. He's not really enjoying it, but at the moment he's in 7th place, and if he can keep these cars behind, he's going to make it as difficult as he can for FPL Charlie to get past.
Yep, he will indeed. But Charlie looking for some more points, wants to hold off Scott, but at the moment Scott would be stealing his way to 5th place in the championship. As Burmeister cuts the corner at the Nova chicane, he's probably going to have to back off a little bit, because Charlie will be thinking he's cut the corner, he's made up the time, he'd want to be given that position, but Burmeister holds the throttle down, keeps on going. You can hear just how much Charlie's having to feather that throttle around the swimple chicane. You usually take it almost flat out, but having to be very careful indeed. And he's closing right up to him on the exit of Anthony Noakes here to start the straight. DRS is open, but like I said, not particularly useful here. You don't really get the benefit of it down towards Sandoval, and equally Sandoval not too much of an overtaking opportunity. But Charlie's going to have to keep his patience and keep cool, keep calm underneath that visor, and just wait for the opportunity to arise, like we've seen from the likes of from Hercules, like we've seen from Scott, like we've seen from Foxy Red 2000 in the last few laps. So yeah, plenty of racing left to go. We're in lap 16 of 39. It's a bit of a marathon race here, 39 laps. So much concentration needs to go into this race, and we've got a 4-car battle that's reignited for the lead of this one.
We really have. Hercules, as Cliffy has come into the pits. Cliffy has had enough. I don't know if he's got any wing damage or not, but Cliffy, just seen him peel into the pits. I'm just going to keep an eye on the Racing Point driving now to see if they change the front wing of that car. And yes, no, they're not. So Cliffy's not enjoying those medium tyres, it seems, and he's coming for a brand new set of medium tyres as well. So I think Cliffy should be alright to stay there in 4th place, because Foxy Red was a way off Cliffy. So yeah, Cliffy does come back out in 4th place. So effectively that was a free pit stop there for a Racing Point driver.
Yep, and it does mean that he can use the fresh rubber to close back up to these guys that are fighting for the lead of the race. Of course, as much as they're battling, they'll be holding each other up. So you've seen that already that 3.5 second gap that Hercules had pretty much disappeared. We've got a yellow in sector 2. Someone maybe dropping it at the Novo chicane, or perhaps at Tabac. We'll see. It looks
it's Mr. Nathan.
It's Mr. Nathan, who's fresh out of making a second stop. Unfortunately not enjoying these weather conditions whatsoever, and luckily with ghosting being on for this round, these guys aren't going to have to worry about lapping anyone in any untoward positions. But you can see Scott, Sam and Hercules flash past your eyes there. Everyone looking as though they've all maintained their front wing. Scott's got a little bit of a gap, just over a second. In fact, he's almost breaking the toe. But now Sam is going to go from looking in front of him to looking behind. And Sam and Hercules, and that was something we haven't seen for a while. It flared up in Brazil. Will it flare up tonight?
Yeah, that is definitely one to keep an eye on. And I just want to say one to keep an eye on is Cliffy. I think Cliffy could be a real interesting one to watch, because he came out of the pits 19.5 seconds off the front 3. Now it's down to 16.2 already. So if these guys at the front have to pit, Cliffy will jump these guys very, very easily. 16 is coming down to 16 seconds now. It's going to be down to the 15 seconds shortly. So Cliffy absolutely fine now. He's got some clean air ahead of him. So at the moment, Cliffy might have played a blind here, because if these guys in the front do have to pit for anything, then Cliffy will be getting the jump on them.
Yeah, you'd be thinking, if you were Scott, Sam and Hercules and you've seen Cliffy take that free pit stop, you've just got to stay out. There's no way, unless the safety car comes out, there's no way you can risk losing track position. So yeah, I'm sure these three thinking and talking with their strategists and trying to work out what's the best option here, because you can see the track is drying up, the rain is stopping, so the track will start to dry pretty quickly. As Scott, yeah, you can see just how much quicker we're going now, almost 4 seconds a lap quicker than we were a couple of laps prior. So yeah, the track will dry up, which means these tyres will start to heat up, which equally means they'll start to overheat. So yeah, Cliffy may have played a perfect strategy call there of getting that free pit stop, coming out ahead of Foxy Red 2000. And knowing that the guys up front will either have to run to the end on incredibly worn medium tyres, or they'll have to come in and gift the lead to the Racing Point.
Yeah, exactly. And at the moment, he's reeling him in at a rate of knots. Hercules, Sam and Scott just entering the tunnel section now as Cliffy is at the lowest hairpin. So absolutely fine. But the frustrating part next for Cliffy is if they don't pit, he's going to end up catching him up at a rate of knots, but then struggling to get past them, and he'll be in a similar position to what he was in, but with fresher tyres. So it'll be very interesting to see if he can pull a move like Scott pulled off a few laps ago on them or not. So you can see now the weather is definitely drying up. Yeah, don't believe it's even raining anymore now. It looks very overcast, but I believe the rain has stopped now, so expect, like we're seeing, the times to tumble as Cliffy is... I'm keeping an eye on Cliffy because he's now down to 11 seconds, so I wouldn't put it past him to be in the next 5 laps or so to be right on the tail of the top 3.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a pretty good decision from the Racing Point driver. He's going to go faster and faster. 1:15.721. He's setting fastest lap after fastest lap at the moment, so there's nothing that these guys can really do about it as Andrew picks up 3 seconds. Cliffy is sitting on a couple of penalties. I believe he's got at least 6 seconds. However, if these guys need to pit, it's unlikely that unless there's something really decent happens for them, they'll be able to close in, and they're going to have to hope that Cliffy kind of starts to run out of tyres later on in the race, if they need to make a second stop. Hercules shaping up Sam, but not quite close enough to get the move done. You can see these guys still battling on circuit for the top 3 positions. They've got a Toro Rosso just up the front. Sam, for a second time in 2 laps, running into the wall in the exit of Tabac, but it looks as though he's got away with it front wing. But the Spaniard pushing hard to try and stay with Scott, who's driving a pretty controlled race at the moment, keeping these guys behind.
He's driving a very sensible race right now. Scotty, he knows that he just has to keep it clean, pretty much, doesn't he, here, and he'll be able to keep that Haas very frustrated behind him. And at the moment, this track at the moment is showing, isn't it, how frustrating of a track it can be. You could be faster than the cars ahead, but it's very, very difficult to get past, and these front 3 at the moment just can't get any inroads on each other. If you were on another track, say Italy, for example, you would be seeing positions changing every single lap with them being this close, but at the moment, Scott is driving a very nice race, as Cliffy now 8.4 seconds off this battle, so expect Cliffy to be there anytime soon. I'm just flicking down the order, and we're seeing Burmeister and Andre still close to each other. Andre is the quicker of the 2 Ferraris, but unlike the Alfa Romeos earlier, there's no team play there between these 2, and Burmeister staying ahead of these fellow teammates in 8th and 9th place.
Yeah, Andre on the older tyres as well seems to have the pace on his Dutch teammate, so yeah, the Ferrari will possibly be wanting to clear his teammate as soon as possible, but it looks as though Burmeister, with those negative points in the championship, will want to take home as many as he can to make up for what's been a torrid season. And one driver, that he said previously that his rating so far this season is effectively it's a 0, because he's not enjoyed it at all. He's not had the pace that he was expecting, and not enjoyed a lot of the races with what's gone down with his pace, and equally making silly mistakes. So yeah, a better season required from him next time around, but he's doing a stellar job at the moment, keeping Andre behind. Although it's your teammate, you want to be racing with someone, and behind him is a car that's equally as paced. And Andre, doing very nicely after an introduction last week, he's shown that he's well up to pace here in IRL F1.
He really is. He's shown he's definitely deserving of a seat in this league, and he's deserved his place so far. I'm just looking just a bit behind Andre, and that is the battle for the final points place, and P10 White Fountain on the hard tyres is frustrating the life out of TL4 4S in the Mercedes. The Mercedes driver trying his best to get past, but similar at the front, there's just no way past at the moment, and the Haas driver doing what he can to keep the cars behind as he White Fountain locks up there, and Schofield are down in 12th place. I just wanted to give you a bit of information. Schofield was having a good race, but just prior he did hit the wall at turn 1 and unfortunately lost a significant amount of his front wing, and that's why Schofield is not in the points anymore, not up with his teammate in 5th place. So Schofield, unfortunately for him, dropping out of the points.
It is very easy to do so here as Andre picks up 3 seconds. That's going to hurt him in his battle to try and overhaul Burmeister. We'll check in. We've got this battle going on between 10th, 11th and 12th position for the final point. Fountain doing his best to hold off the man that finished on pole position here the last time we were here. So Yeah, White Fountain has got pace around here, but as I said earlier this stream, he's had shocking luck, shocking pace so far this season, not been on form whatsoever, and we're sure the Belgian will be coming back much stronger on F1 2020 after a bit of a break. And whilst we've got a lull in the proceedings, we haven't got a lull at all because we've just got this fascinating battle going on with Scott keeping the two behind. But we'll quickly run over what's going on for the rest of the week. Tomorrow night, Realistic Performance League, and it is the Monaco Grand Prix, the final round of the season for them. And it's here, and it's going to be Malc and Tim in the commentary box covering, and Sam, who's currently in second position, has wrapped up the championship there ahead of Scopefielder. But it's going to be a fun race for those two tomorrow night. Then on Wednesday night, it is a rerun of round 11, which was able to be run last Wednesday. So the F2 and F3 leagues will be taking place at Silverstone. They will be taking their round 11 before they do round 12 next week. So the end of the season for F2 and for F3 will be happening next week. And of course we saw the finale to the Xbox League on Sunday night, and that was an absolutely scintillating race from start to finish, which has provisionally seen DJ Danny take the championship by tour, essentially overtaking his rival on track on the last lap of the race. So provisionally standing, waiting for the stewards' adjudication for any incidents. We are expecting that to go down, well, as DJ Danny picking up the championship. But Sab, Cliffy, now only 0.3 of a second. He's back on the tail.
He really is, and that's what I was keeping an eye on. And Cliffy now, with only 8-lap-old medium tires, he's on the tail of Hercules. But now the key is, what does he do to get past? Because Hercules is no easy opponent to overtake on any track, and to try and overtake a guy like him on a track like this should prove even more difficult. So even though he's got the tyre life and he's absolutely flying, I keep seeing the fastest lap flashing up all the time on the bottom of the screen, the next challenge is just to try and get past not one but 3 cars here. As you say, he's got some time penalties, so he either has to hope that some of these guys make mistakes or pit, or he has to be a bit brave here. It's going to be fascinating to see what these top 4 can do, but at the moment it's a bit of a stalemate at the front. Just wanted to point out, unfortunately for Burmeister, he had a bit of connection issues, and that has dropped him right down, and that's finally allowed his teammate Andre to get past him, and now Andre up into 8th place.
We can see through this battle that we've got for the top 4. Foxy Red is 15 seconds back. He's slowly reeling them in, but not anywhere near what Cliffy was doing. He's got yellow in sector 2. Adri picking up 3 seconds as well. But yeah, Harry, a bit of a no man's land race for him in 6th position. Charlie equally is having a race on his own in 7th. TL44S still closing in on Fountain. And here comes Cliffy to the inside of Hercules. There's wheel banging, but he gets the move done up in towards Massenet. He does get past the McLaren driver, and that's 1 of 3 done, so check one off. Cliffy up onto the podium, although he does have penalties. We're on lap 26 of 39. He's going to need to do it 2 more times if he's going to take it away from Scott, but with penalties, Cliffy's got a lot of work to do if he's to take the win tonight. But Hercules will not be impressed whatsoever. But on 18-lap-old tyres, those tyres for Cliffy's are 9 laps younger, so you've got to expect Cliffy to have the extra grip on the exit of these corners. You can see on the exit of the Novell chicane that he's got so much more traction compared to Sam ahead, but it's all about keeping his head down and keeping his nerve, because when you've got 2 cars ahead that are battling for the lead of the race, the last thing you want to do is send it, and it's going to be it will effectively have your nose cut off and lose any front wing.
Most definitely, yeah, and I imagine there was a few choice German words in the helmet of Hercules, as now Cliffy is getting the inside line done quite easily on Sam way before turn 1, and Cliffy is now up into 2nd place. Next target is the leader, that is Scott Bugner 7. Can Cliffy try something a bit more daring like he just did to Hercules? But I imagine Scott will make it very tough for Cliffy to try anything around here.
Yeah, of course, Scott not one to worry about cars being behind him. Incredibly vociferous defender. We've got another yellow in sector 2. And yeah, Scott, of course, races cars offline, and he well knows how to keep people behind him, how to position his car in the right place. And I'm sure, even though Cliffy's got the tyre grip at the moment, as he goes, almost runs into the back of the Williams driver, he's going to have a hard task, because it almost looks as though Sam just gave him the position. There was so much more grip for the Racing Point compared to the Haas. You can see Blue Sky now starting to break through the clouds, so we are going to much drier conditions. The circuit is completely dried up, which means these guys that are running on what have been 19 lap old tyres will start to hurt. We're on lap 20, or just about to go on to lap 28 of 39, and this is going to have to be or effectively the last. As Scott picks up his first, I think his first, as Hercules picks up 3 as well, so I believe he's still got a couple of seconds over Cliffy. But it's going to have to be the race of Scott's life if he's to keep the Racing Point behind him.
It really is, and I'd have to say right now, the race currently is in Sam's hand. I don't believe I've seen Sam, you could correct me here, but I don't believe I've seen Sam pick up any time penalties. So if that is correct, and Sam can stick with these guys, Hercules with his time penalties, just Cliffy with time penalties, and Scott with time penalties, the race will go into Sam's hands. That's unfortunate for Scott for picking up that time penalty, but yeah, Sam now just needs to keep it clean for the last 11 laps, and Sam could find himself winning this race, not even in the lead.
Yeah, absolutely. The top 3 drivers yet to pick up a victory so far this season. The best of them has been second place finish, one for Sam back in Belgium, and third place finishes for Cliffy in Brazil and in Canada. And of course Scott picked up third place finishes. Also Scott did pick up a second back in Spain. Keep forgetting that. I always place Scott down, but of course he does occasionally like to flash a little bit of brilliance for us, just in between making some horrendous mistakes. But yeah, he is doing a pretty stellar job at the moment, keeping Cliffy behind him. Cliffy, however, with those much fresher tyres, isn't able to get the same move done that he did on Sam and on Hercules, making the move into Massenet as we now make the run down towards Mirabeau, and he's not quite close enough. In fact, Sam is closing back in on these guys. One person that is starting to struggle is Hercules. He's now 1.3 seconds off the back of Sam, so Hercules starting to hurt on those tyres.
It looks like he is, yeah, and since Hercules picked up that time penalty, he's just slightly fallen away, but he has regained some time back on the front 3. I'm just looking further down, TL4 who was keeping the pressure on White Fountain and TL4 and Schofield ahead of Burmeister, so TL4 into the final points playing position. But at the moment, the closest battle is right at the front, because the rest of the field is pretty spread out right now.
It is indeed. Everyone's starting to fall into a little bit of their own race, but getting into the rhythm. The 2 people that aren't having to worry about it are Cliffy and Scott. They're battling over the lead of this race. They've got Sam and Hercules for relative company, but it is Cliffy that's on the offensive and very much Scott on the defensive. Cliffy's got a really good run up through Beau Rivage in towards Massenet. Is he going to think about the inside? He tags the rear end of the Williams, trying to find any way through, but Scott shutting the door, taking the racing line, not allowing the Racing Point any way through. And I imagine Scott was thinking, if you're going to come past me, you're going to have to put me into the wall, because there was no way he was opening the door and letting a Racing Point find any way through. And Scott holds on to the leader's race. He's got to hold on for another 9.5 laps.
It's Scott is making that car as wide as possible, isn't he, right now? Cliffy, like you say, just tagging the back of that Williams, and Scott not phased at all, was he, by that? He managed to hold his nerve and keep the position, but Cliffy, if he wasn't trying to make his position known that he wants to get past, he certainly did just then with that little tap. But Scott keeping his nerve right now. Just 9 laps to go. Scott runs, I thought he was going to run into the wall there, but just about keeps the car in check. And now Cliffy once again going into the next lap, probably feeling a bit frustrated he's not caught past Scott, would you think? Because Cliffy made good work of Sam and Hercules quite quickly, but Scott, as we said earlier, is making life very, very difficult for the Racing Point.
Yeah, and you can see that red light flashing the LED on the gearbox of the Williams ahead, meaning that he's harvesting energy. So that's when Cliffy knows that it's time to attack. As soon as you see that red light flashing, and I imagine Scott is trying to harvest as much as possible to use it up the hill to defend from the racing point in towards Massenet. But this is where Cliffy needs to play it safe, but also start thinking strategically. Where's the best place to get the move done? Because obviously up into Massenet, Scott's already seen that he's willing to make the move there. He's going to be probably a little bit wiser to that. And Cliffy struggles to get the car slowed down, locks up the front left ever so slightly, but he's still chasing down the Williams in towards Tabak, now flashing through the swimming pool. These guys now doing it almost flat out, but Cliffy a little bit scrappy, and that's going to allow Scott just a little bit of a breather for the exit of this lap and to start on towards lap 32. But Cliffy's got a really good run on him on the exit of Anthony Noakes, and he's going to get a decent run to the outside into Saint Devot. Will he be able to go around the outside into the... There's contact between the two and into the... Oh, he just about misses the wall. It would have been an that would have been a brave move to go around the outside into Saint Devot. Perhaps a little bit too brave there from Cliffy. As soon as you get the outside line, you're not going to get the racing line, and I'm sure Cliffy will be disappointed with that. But equally, taking the outside line into Saint Devot, it's a tricky overtaking move on the inside, let alone turn to the outside.
That must be so frustrating for Cliffy, but I think there was all fairness in there. Scott had every right to try and defend, and Cliffy trying one round the outside was very brave indeed, but he did very well not to bury that car into the wall. And just having a look at his car now, he's not picked up any wing damage, so that's good for him. So he could try and carry on now to try and catch up to these guys at the front, but I imagine now he's pretty much out of the hunt for the race win here. But the moment Sam in second place is looking the favourite right now. He's only 8/10 of a second by Scott, but currently without any penalties.
Yep, is indeed, and I'm sure Scott will be aware of that. And after that brief encounter with Cliffy, he needs to get the metal, or the pedal to the metal, and get on it again, because he needs to break his way up the road. Because yeah, as you say, Sam, unless we've seen a penalty flash up for him earlier on, is looking in pole position to take the final win of the season here on F1 2019, the final competitive night's racing here in IRL F1 before we move to F1 2020 in a couple of months' time. And of course, you can find out more about that by going to the socials, Invictus RL on Twitter, Invictus Racing League on Facebook and on Instagram. Of course, going to the website invictusracingleague.com, sign up to get on the grid for F1 2020. Big announcements coming in the coming weeks about next season, not only for IRL F1 but for all leagues concerned. And from us, we'll be back next season covering the league on a Monday night with hopefully with some new graphics and some updated things on screen for you. So perhaps we might be able to enhance your user experience just a little bit. We've got a yellow in sector 2. As it looks as though Tilfa 4S into the pit lane. He's making a stop onto soft rubber, so possibly trying to have a decent run towards the end of this race and snatch away the fastest lap, which I believe is still held by Cliffy. We've got White Fountain closing in on Andre, so we'll quickly go and check in with the Haas driver, his teammate, currently battling for the lead of the race, whilst White Fountain battling for 8th position. So double points finish for the Hasses, which is, or the Hasses, Hassai, what's the plural? The Haas. The as in fact Andre lets him pass, so Andre deciding that he's going to let the driver on the hard tyres through, so perhaps deciding not to battle, thinking that he might have to pit again, or perhaps even has some penalties for his name. He decides against it, and Fountain now up into 8th position. He's now probably going to drive off into the distance and have a little bit of a race on his own. The real battle is still going on for the front, with Hercules still chasing down Sam. And with Cliffy, he's going to be back on the charge once again. He's now only 2.5 seconds behind this, so he's clawed back a second and a half since that contact into Saint Devot with Scott as he tried to go around the outside for the lead of the race 3 laps prior. But now he's going to have to get back past Hercules and back past Sam, and you can bet that these two won't be as accommodating as they were last time.
No, definitely. I can imagine when Cliffy does eventually get up to the back of Hercules again, I'm sure Hercules will not be so rewarding, shall we say, of allowing that racing point to easily get through there. Cliffy doing well to remain calm after that incident and work his way back into this fight. But with only really 4 laps left on the race, it's going to be one hell of a job for Cliffy to win anything from this position. But Scott really is now forming a bit of a train now, isn't he? There, he's got half a second with Sam behind, and Sam doing nice job there as FPL Charlie picks up another 3-second time penalty. He's really caught up to the back of the other Williams driver, Scott's teammate Harry, in 6th place. FPL Charlie was about 2.5 seconds behind Harry, so Harry must have had an incident somewhere there, and is now putting the pressure on Harry for 6th place.
As Hercules has got front left end plate damage, so the McLaren driver will be struggling in these high speed corners, especially now that we're back in fully dry conditions. As soon as we go into, we can see front left, where's he picked that up? It must maybe in the contact between himself and Cliffy earlier on, but that is going to hamper him. But at the moment he's now having to try and hassle the back end of Sam, but equally he's going to have Cliffy once again swarming all over his gearbox. So game on once again between these guys, and it's been, what it seems like it's been going on for the entire race, these 4 battling over the lead. And yeah, Sab, this is the way we wanted to finish the season. The championship may not be on the line, but these guys putting on a spectacular show.
Oh, most definitely. That's exactly what. And I'm just keeping an eye on the battle for 6th between Harry and Charlie. Harry, he looks like he's driving a snake right now, the way that Williams is slithering about. I thought he almost lost the car at the swimming pool section, but just about kept hold of it. And now Harry is allowing FBL Charlie past. So FBL Charlie goes past into 6th place. Harry easing off the throttle and allowing the McLaren driver through. So Harry clearly having some issues there in that Williams car.
As Sam slides out of Portier, loses the position to Hercules. Hercules got the move done in the tunnel, which is a place that you don't often see overtakes get done, because offline is very dirty, very dusty. But yeah, using the loss of traction for the Haas, and Hercules now up into 2nd position. So that's going to hurt Sam when it comes to try and take this win away. And in fact, he's going to the outside line. Is he going to let Cliffy through? He does let him through. So that's the 2nd time that Cliffy's gone through, but he's going to lose the position at Saint Devot. So Sam, having let him through, has had to go back up ahead of him. So I'm not quite sure what's going on for the Haas driver. He's seemingly let the Racing Point through twice now, but once again Cliffy and Sandevot not going together particularly well this evening. Went deep, locked up both brakes, and he's now going to have to spend another lap behind him. But yeah, Sam possibly playing into the hands of Cliffy, giving him a free position, but unfortunately back down into 4th, and this is allowing Scott to break free. It's 1.5 seconds he's now got himself between the lead and Hercules in 2nd.
If Scott can build another second over Sam now with 2 laps to go, Scott will beat Sam to this race win. Sam falling away now, and it's over 2 seconds now between himself and Scott. So if Scott can really pull away now, Scott could beat Sam. Even though he's got that time penalty. Hercules has also got time penalty, but he's now sort of holding up Hercules. So the moment, if Scott can just edge it a bit more, Sam could find himself losing out of the race win here. So I'm not sure what's happening with him in the last few laps, but right now the race could be slipping out of his hands.
Yeah, and you've got to think, unless he's had a penalty flash up earlier in the race that we've missed, there's a very strange decision not only to let Cliffy, or to potentially have let Cliffy through, but yeah, you've got to think that he just give himself the opportunity of missing a podium, let alone letting the race slip out of his hands. So yeah, he tagged the inside wall at the exit of the entry into Mirabeau there. So Sam on the ragged edge. You can see these guys have been running around on 30 laps on these tyres as Charlie picks up another 3 seconds. He's in 6th position. Harry and behind him is 2.5 back. But yeah, Scott is on the penultimate lap of the race, and I'm sure the Williams driver is will have absolute nerves of steel. He'll be sweating. I'm sure he's lost a couple of kilos in sweat having to sit at that wheel lap for lap. 38 laps they've done around here. He knows that the race win is on. We were joking pre-race about the fact that he's been winless in such a long time, and what's he going to do? He's going to hold on for another lap, and he's going to potentially snatch it away. But the race is still on. Sam Sam can still take it if he hasn't got that penalty. We know that Hercules is sitting on 3 seconds. We know that Cliffy has equally got some. Now Cliffy's got a really good run on the Haas up the hill. Will he make the move into Massenet like he did a couple of laps earlier? Not close enough to get it. We've got a yellow in sector 1. I believe that was for the slow Mercedes that these guys have just passed. They've just lapped here 44S, but Sam still trying to shut off Cliffy from getting past. We're on lap 39 of 39, the final lap of the season here on F1 2019. They're pushing each other around the Lowe's hairpin, trying to get all the moves done. We're still in a battle for the lead of this race. Scott Bugner is leading it with a 1.8 second gap over Hercules in second position. Sam a further just over 6/10 back. So Scott, if he can make up 4/10 of a second over this last lap, can take a win even if Sam has no penalty. So this is where Scott really needs to earn his money. You need to be pushing. Can he do it? He's going to come up to Raskas for the final time, and the final time this season we're going to see a driver cross the line and take the victory. And across the line it's going to be Scott. He comes up to the line. What a fantastic race from the Williams driver. He crossed the line in first. Hercules is going to come across the line in second. Will he hold on to it? He does, but Sam Pito jumps in second position but doesn't take the race win by 4/10 of a second. Scott takes it. Cliffy in third. Foxy is in Cliffy in fourth, sorry, Foxy in fifth. What a race for Scott. That final lap just held up Sam enough to allow him to take the victory. He steals it by 4/10 of a second. Charlie is going to just about hold on to sixth, but I believe will drop back behind Harry on penalties and even perhaps behind White Fountain. So yeah, Harry does jump in. Where does Fountain go? Fountain does go above Charlie. Andre is coming into the final straight. He's got a couple of penalties himself, and he picks up another points paying position. So another decent race for him. Scopefielder is looking as though he will be the final points runner and points paying position this evening and this season. With the broken wing, comes across the line. Scopefielder in 10th position. Burmeister just misses out on that point that he so desperately wanted. But what a race and what a win for Scott.
What a final lap that was. It just worked out nicely for him, and Sam got up to the back of Hercules, and it looked like Hercules was just struggling for overall pacing then, and Hercules through a few corners just not having the car underneath him, and Sam just getting very frustrated, trying to get past, trying to make the time before Scott, but Scott, 4/10 of a second, takes the win and thoroughly deserves. Scott with some absolutely superb racing tonight, and what a way to wrap up this season. That was an absolutely superb race from the front four this evening.
Yeah, from the word go, these guys absolutely were on it, and yeah, what a win to take. Breaks his winless streak that's been going on for going on 26, 27 races, I think it is, since the last time we saw Scott on the top step. And yeah, he does it here in very tricky conditions in a wonderful, wonderful race from fourth on the grid in 51 minutes and 57 seconds. Half a second he steals it off of Sam. Hercules picks up a podium in third position. Cliffy just unable to get back past after that incident into Sandoval. Foxy Red picks up fifth. White Fountain up into sixth position. He gets a decent finish to end the season without any penalties as well. Harry in seventh, then Charlie in eighth, Andre in ninth, Scopefielder finishes 10th, Burmeister just outside the points, and then a lap down was TL44S and Adrian Lockdock, who picks up a DSQ for too many penalties, and equally I believe Charlie might do. So Charlie picks up 15, so unfortunately, unless that can be proved otherwise, that would be a DSQ in the final rest of the season, which is disappointing, which might actually promote Burmeister up into a points paying position, but unfortunately not enough to get him back up into positive. That only puts him up as -1 point. So but yeah, what a race, Sab. What a way to finish this season. It's been such a stellar season, and it's been so much fun to cover them, hasn't it? Because they've just offered every single race, they've offered something different. And you know, when we haven't got the championship leader like Game of the Best, or the CRG Game of 62, sorry, to use his previous name, but even when we got Harry, who finished in run-up, fighting for 6th and 7th, you've still got drivers willing to take up the mantle and really go at it for the win.
You have indeed, and tonight definitely proved that, as we see our podium drivers coming into the lobby now. We're just waiting on Hercules to join us, and we'll have our podium guys with us. But yeah, what a race it was. There was some superb overtaking. Cliffy there with some fantastic overtaking. Scott as well, absolutely superb. Unfortunately for Cliffy, those penalties in the end cost him somewhat. But yeah, these guys put on a hell of a show for us as Hercules now does enter the chat room. So here we are. So I'll pass it over to you, Gareth, to ask our podium drivers some questions.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sab. And I mean, we'll start with the man that, if you'd said at the start of today that Scott Bugner is going to pick up the race victory, and just to make sure, guys, you've all got your voices allowed to be shared, because of course we want to hear what your thoughts are, because that was a stellar race. But yeah, if someone had told me, do you know what, Scott's going to win tonight, I would have told you to, well, not maybe a couple of choice words, but where has that pace been?
Hidden away in a locker somewhere. I don't know, to be honest. I didn't have the pace in the dry because I had a broken wing. Yeah, I don't know what happened. I just thought I'll take the wet line, and when it was damp, and try and overtake as many as I can, and it's somehow pulled off. But yeah, it's good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to bring into words really some of the overtakes that you brought to us earlier in that race. Opportunistic, perhaps, was the right word, but equally incredibly brave. What made you go for them just up into Massenet on the exit of Sandevot? We saw you going for some moves as well. So you've got to have a lot of faith in the driver ahead of you to equally give you the space. So what goes into your head when you think, I'm just going to go for this? Is it essentially just that yeet sort of thought, or is it just a case of trying to pick the move when it becomes open?
Well, we know how me and Sam have been getting on for the last couple of seasons, so I thought if I go around the outside and he squeezes me, we're both ending up in the barriers here. But he didn't, and fair play to him. He left me room. Like I said, I just took the wet lines. That's where the sort of karting experience come in. I took the wet lines where I could and tried to find the grip wherever I could, and I just had superior grip out of them two last corners, and the next minute, I've gone from fourth to first, and I thought, well, hang on a minute, have I glitched? Because something ain't right here. Because what did you say to me before the race, Gareth? When was the last time you won a race, Scott?
Yeah, well, I was just saying to Sab that it's been a long time coming, and I mean, but for you personally, what a way to end the season, and it really helps you end the season on a high going into next season.
Yeah, it does. I've just got to grips with the new wheel. I'm still learning it. I'm changing sort of settings here and there, so it's still. The positive side of it is there's still a lot more to come, I think. A lot more consistency, and I was fuming with myself that I got a penalty. I thought, oh no. I don't know what happened between Hercules and Sam, because I know Sam sort of, I don't know if he lost it out going into the tunnel, but Hercules passed him, and I knew that Hercules had an orange wing. So I thought, well, if he can hold Sam up as much as possible, then that'll be lovely for me. And it just won. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It was good. I feel a bit guilty for Cliffy. We went into turn one, and it was one of them. Whatever happened, we both braked as late as possible, and he turned in. I tried to sort of stay where I was, and we clashed, and it ended up him going off, which I feel I'm not proud of that. But it wasn't a deliberate collision. But I'll speak to him after this. But yeah, it's really good. It's about time.
It is indeed. That's exactly right. And like you say, a real shame that battle between you and Cliffy just got taken away at Sandevot, and it looks as though Cliffy is just saying he threw it away, and just as you say, last of the late breakers, neither one of you was willing to give up, and unfortunately he was the one that came off worst. But that's hard racing for you, but equally that's what you get here in Invictus. You get incredibly hard but fair racing, and congratulations, Scott. Mega win. So much fun watching that one. We'll pass it on to Sam. 0.4 of a second. That's got to hurt, because it looks as though that last lap just cost you the chance of taking that win.
Yeah, that hurts. But yeah, I know that Hercules was holding me up, because the pace in the previous laps were a lot faster, and suddenly in the last lap he was parking it on the sector 2 and sector 3 corner, sector 2 and sector 3 corner, sorry. So yeah, he was within a gap of 3 seconds to score. That's what I believe. So yeah, I'm really frustrated. Yeah, and the win slipped away, but the way the race went, it's not great. I mean, if you can win fairly, okay, but if you win like this, I don't know. It's the first time I'm this angry, but yeah, great season. Really happy with the pole, and yeah, just congrats to Scott. Really well done. He just was keeping it clean. I was putting the pressure on him from behind. He wasn't making mistakes, and yeah, just that's it.
And just, I mean, just quickly, obviously you're frustrated, so we won't push you on it. But you seem to, when Cliffy was behind, almost let the door open and let him through a couple of times. Was there any thought behind that? Did you know that he had penalties and you were willing
Yeah,
to
he
just
had
let him go?
he had 6 seconds. He was much faster than me, so he was on my ass the whole time, very close, putting the nose there and here. And I wanted to crash or something, so I let him pass. So maybe he could attack Scott, or I don't know what he was doing. So yeah, just let him pass, and that's it. Nothing else.
Oh, well, congratulations! Another decent podium for you. Maybe not what you wanted with the win, but a second place means that you seal third place in the championship and take it away from Hercules. Who, well, I'm sure that was your goal at the start of this evening. So yeah, congratulations, third place. So on to the third place man, and Hercules, Glückwünsche, congratulations, well
Danke,
done.
danke, mein Sohn.
And it's you've got to be happy. A lot of wing damage at the end of that race, and that must
Yeah.
have made it hard for you.
Yeah, the race was really, really tough, and unfortunately I got wing damage. There was some connection issues with Sam. I tapped him just slightly a bit on my screen, and the wing was directly orange. So I don't know what happened there, but still I could race and stick with Scott and Sam for a long time. Yeah, the only thing I disagree is that, I mean, it's the last race. Why don't we all drive and fight until the end? I think there's no point in letting somebody through, even when he's on much fresher tires. And I think it was just half a lap. Cliffy was behind Sam, or just one straight, and he immediately let him through. So I don't know why he does that. He's just playing it on penalties. That's what I thought, and that's why he left me through on the tunnel. He just let me through, and I took that second place. And I knew I had a penalty. Scott had great pace there at the end, but Sam had no penalties, so I was just chilling at the last lap because I saw no way through to overtake Scott with that wing damage, which got even worse. And yeah, the last lap I was just keeping it in lean and 0 ERS, and we're just chilling. And
Well,
then took the third place.
yeah, well, it's a decent result for you. It means that's 4 podiums in a row for you. So a win in Singapore, 2 third place in a row for obviously Silverstone, and now in a second place in Canada. So after that sort of that time that you missed between round 6 and round 8, it's got to be a decent way for you to end the season, and you've got to think that you're in a good place for a championship push next season.
Yeah, we will see. Hopefully, I get used to the next game quick. I'm sure I will play it a lot, and we will see. But yeah, I hope I can find fight in the championship with podium places. That's why I race.
Well, yeah, congratulations. Another decent race from yourself tonight. And one final question, we'll send it back over to race winner, the man that's going to finish off F1 2019 as the man standing on the top step of the podium, and Scott. And sum up this season for you. It's been an up and down one. You've been seen as a bit of a number 2 driver, but it must be a satisfying
was
way.
never.
It must be a satisfying way to end the season by taking that victory, and then perhaps showing Williams and perhaps showing the everyone watching IRL F1 that you can still take it to these guys at the front.
I'm classed as the GOAT, ain't I? That's what it is. No, me and Harry always sort of set out at the beginning. We said, we'll help each other where we can. And after Abu Dhabi and me getting disqualified by the penalties, etc., I knew losing that many points at the beginning would be so hard to sort of claw back. So I've always set out that after that, once that was out of the way and I had a couple of bad races, that I will help him where I can and do what I can. That's what I'm here for. But it's just shown him now that number one driver is now, the contract has been ripped up for Harry. That number one driver is now set. It's a head and tails sort of situation now going into the next season. But no, it's great. I'm hoping that we can carry on this form for the new game and hopefully, fingers crossed, push for another championship, because I am classed, from Harry, and I am described as a washed-up champion. So no, I'm happy. My season has been, better than last season. The pace has been there. I haven't had the bestest of luck in this second half. Wing damage, and I've had a few collisions that I haven't been able to sort of, avoid. It just lost me quite a few points, but it's back, and it means we're back. I'm back, and I'll be confident going into the new game.
Well, mega win for you tonight. So much fun to watch, and it's good to see you back on the top step of the podium. And Sab, just to wrap up the season, CRG Gamer returns and unfortunately walks away with it after Harry, unfortunately, how do we put this nicely, bottles the last few races of the season, perhaps. Not that I'm sure he'll hate me for saying that, but yeah, perhaps maybe just losing out after such a strong first half of the season, being off the podium the last 4 races has really hurt him in that battle. But you've got to look at the entire field, and once again, these guys have put on a stellar performance for us.
They really have, and the midfield, shall we say, or they from 5th downwards have really shown the abilities they can do here. We've had some superb racing, not at the very front like we've had tonight, but all the way through the field, even fighting for places like 10th, 11th and 12th throughout this whole season. We've seen some superb battling, so I cannot wait for next season to see these guys really go at it again and really put on some great performances, because like this season and the previous season, we've had some superb races. Let's just take it into the next game, the new game, and see what these guys can do, and see this bar raised even further. Can someone take it again? Because Gamer really has set that standard now going into the season. But I'm sure going into the new season, the likes of Hercules Scott and a few others who we've seen tonight will surely be wanting to rectify that and get amongst him and try and show him that they can challenge for a championship as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, it's been such a fun season, and we'd like to say a massive thank you to, of course, to all the drivers that have made it very easy, not only to commentate on, but equally for myself and Harry to be a part of the admin team for this league as well. So yeah, a huge thank you to everyone that's been part of the league, and equally to everyone that's watched. And of course, if you're not subscribed already, make sure you press that button, subscribe to be notified, and ring the bell to be sent a notification every time we go live with a new video. Tomorrow night, Realistic Performance League with Tim and Malc. Wednesday night, F2 and F3 run their round 11 from Silverstone, and they'll be back the Wednesday after, even though the season will be finished for Xbox F1 and Realistic. So 2 weeks you've got left on a Wednesday night to catch up on the racing here, and they've got Silverstone and Monaco coming up. So plenty of racing left to go here on F1 2019 before we show off with the Nations Cup, which will be coming very shortly, and wait for an announcement stream coming in the next week or so saying all the different teams and who will be representing their nation. But from Sab and I'm sure he'll echo my words. Just a huge thank you to everyone that's enjoyed the streams, that's subscribed, and we've seen the channel explode. The social media has exploded, and like I said, 8,000 or just under 8,000 views on F1 2019 on a Monday night. It's been a real just a joy to cover it. So yeah, from Sab and I, a very well-wished thank you to you all. And of course, we will all be back on F1 2020. Come and join us. Go to the website, invictusracingleague.com, for the sign-up page, and of course all the socials, Invictus Racing League on Facebook and on Instagram, Invictus RL on Twitter, to find out more about when F1 2020 kicks off here for Invictus. But from Sab and I, for the IRL F1 League, we thank you very much for joining us. We will see you in a couple of months' time on F1 2020. Stay tuned for more from Invictus. And of course, you can go to our socials at GT2_driving for myself, at Alan Sabatino for Sab, where we'll be posting over the next the coming weeks about any stuff we'll be doing around F1 2020. So yeah, stay in touch, and we will stay in touch with you. But for tonight and for this week, hope you enjoyed it. Stay safe, hope you're all well, and we will see you on F1 2020.